guys, it's been a long time since I've done a polytunnel cacti and succulent tour. So welcome to the September tour, and I'm going to take you around, show you what's going on. It was kind of just stay the course during the hot months, during July and August. Nothing much happened, but now that the weather is cooling off, a lot of the plants are starting to show more growth and do some interesting things. So I thought I'd take you around, show you what's going on. And I'll start down at this end. This is my Pilocereus azurus blue. And it's put on a little growth this year. You can see, I hope it shows up on camera, but the new growth is much bluer than the bottom growth, the bottom part which looks more green. So you can always tell if it's grown if you have blue tips here. So that one has started to perk up. And then this summer, my pencil cactus, a Euphorbia, I think it's a trichale. I hope I'm saying the right name. A lot of my tags have faded, and so I'm going to have some trouble with some names because I just don't have the memory for all of them. But this is my pencil cactus, and it has gone crazy. All of this light green is new growth, so it happens to love this spot, the conditions in the polytunnel, and it's really doing well and gotten huge. And then, let me show you down here, I have my Echinobivia rainbow bursts, and I had potted 3 of them together, and they had suffered terribly from mealybugs, so I ended up taking off all of her pups and just letting sun get to it, and now it's doing so well that it's starting to make more pups. So that one makes me really happy. I gotta check that out later. I don't know what's going on in the middle of that one, but I may come out here and spray some neem oil just to be safe. But these are actually some pups that came off of her, I think 2 years ago, so they're looking quite mature. And then here's my amac, my Euphorbia amac. It's doing well. It's really light. I think it's light because it gets a lot of sun. But particularly at this end of the table, this is the sunny side of my polytunnel, so it gets pretty much non-stop sun all day, and I think that's what's made it light, a light color, but doing well, still hanging in there, which makes me very happy because it's kind of a hard plant to find. And then it had a little hitchhiker here, and that was just from a leaf. So I just left it in, since it was happy there, I just left it in there, and they're coexisting together, as we all should. But over here is my big dish garden where I had combined a lot of my succulents, and it's really funny. It could be that it's new soil, but it seems like all of the plants that I put in here have started to thrive. A few of them were just not doing much of anything. I hope I can show you all of these, but they're all doing really well put in a pot together. And I have heard some things that when you put plants together, the growth of the root, like the growth hormone, affects the other plants. So when one plant grows, it sort of encourages the other roots to grow. So I'm going to try to do more combined plantings. This one was really doing terribly, and now planted with all these other plants, this golem jade is doing great. And this pencil cactus is kind of outgrowing the arrangement actually, but it's done super well. It's probably tripled in size. So there you go, guys. I have some haworthias, some aloes, a Burrows Tail. This was the only new plant that I put in there, but a couple of, I think these are Christmas Carol aloes. They were doing terribly until I put it in here. So I don't want to go on repeating that, but it seems like if you're having trouble with a plant, maybe combine it with another one and it will do well. So this is an update for you. Oh, I didn't even see these huge branches over here. So this is a thumbs up update on my combined planting dish garden. And then over here, I didn't put this on video, but I had a whole piece die on top of this plant. This is a corn cob cactus, and I'm sorry, but I don't know the Latin name. And as you can see, the label has faded. There's almost nothing on there anymore. So some of these plants are not going to be named. I apologize for that. But what I did was I cut it off. I cut it at an angle in case it got wet. I didn't want water to sit on it. And I put loads of cinnamon on top. Let me take it out where you can see it a little better. There's a baby pup down coming up from the bottom. I hope you can see that. I'm going to point to it right here. There's a pup coming out from the soil down at the bottom of the cactus. And then there's a beautiful pup at the top. So guys, if you're having trouble with the top of your cactus, you can cut that off. That's the growing point. And once you cut the growing point, it's going to find a way to grow, and it will grow out on the sides. So I've got 2 new pups coming, and this isn't looking fantastic right now, but down the road I could even just remove these pups and root them out, and I'll still have this type of cactus. But I'm going to see what else this plant can do before I decide to throw that one in the compost. But you know, it may come out with more pups. So let me show you back here. I actually have a couple of these Stenoceras pruneosus, excuse me. So that is a beauty. That also has kind of a bluish green to it, and that's doing really well. And on that one you can tell it's starting to grow again because the tips are more white. So on this one it gets, you know, that light color. And this one over here is a big version of it. It's living all by itself, but it has also got the white growing tip. That's what the new growth looks like. And I see some kind of web here, so I'm not sure if that's a beneficial bug. I may just come in here with a leaf and clean that out and evict that, whatever it is, outside of the polytunnel. But that one's getting really tall. It's kind of skinnier at the bottom, but it's had a nice growth spurt now that the weather is more moderate, not as severely hot. So I'll take you over here. This one, I believe this is a torch cactus. So this one, when it gets really big, it kind of grows off to the side, and I would imagine in desert conditions it kind of lies on the ground and then plants grow up from it. But in my little polytunnel, in its terracotta pot, it's putting out a lot of, well, it already did, all these plants here. And these used to be little pups like this, just like a little ball there, but now these have put on some height and they're starting to look more like this big guy. So it'll be interesting to see how that grows. These are growing upward. This one's growing sideways, but it's doing well, and that got a repot earlier in the summer. And I have another one over here that kind of has the same growth habit. The big tall one with the weight kind of grows off to the side, and then it creates more plants coming up. This one is a Mammillaria magnifica. So I think that can happen with columnar cacti. I think that's a word, columnar, column. But there you go. Two of my plants are growing really well that way. And here we go over here. This is a dish garden with cacti, and I love this dish garden. I love every plant that I picked for it. Again, I had some of these that I combined in, and then I had picked up a couple. But I have some dainty little Mammillaria gracilis over here. They're small. I think they're known as the thimble cactus, and they tend to stay small, thus their name. This one is a Mammillaria mystax, and I hope it shows on camera, but it actually has black spines, and I just think that's so interesting. Black and gold, but the newest ones are black in the middle, and that is such a gorgeous one. I've put a lot of pictures of that up on Instagram because I think it's so beautiful and sculptural. And then this one, I don't know. This is another mammillaria. This is I think this is a Parodia. I have a bigger one. It's possibly a Noto Cactus magnificus or a Parodia. You guys know that particular one. I've forgotten the name. This is also another mammillaria. And back here I have, I think this is an Espinosa or something with an E. I'm sorry, I don't know the name, but it is, I think it's called a snow pole cactus, but as you can see, it must come from a very sunny region because it puts out this really thick fuzz. It's almost like it's wearing a jacket. So it's protecting the plant from harmful sun, but that is just beautiful, white and fluffy. And then back here, this is another cactus back here that is a mammillaria. And this one, I'm not sure if it's alive actually. It's hard to tell. It's very, very fuzzy. That's an Oreocereus trolleyi. I had a big one that that ended up succumbing to mealybugs, so I replaced it with that, and I'm hoping it's alive under there. I can't even see any green. So I might do a little detective work later and try to see if I can see anything green under there. And then this is a cholla cacti, and I believe that's a type of a puntia. So all of those are doing really well. Again, it seems like when you put them together, they really thrive. I guess that's the way it is in nature. So maybe it's a more natural habitat for them to be growing among other plants. Although these all could come from different parts of the world, who knows, but it just seems like plants seem to like to grow with other plants. That's the theme of my tour today. Speaking of that, I put a lot of things together in this antique planter. This was one I found at a thrift shop, and it says USA on the bottom. So I know it's an antique from a while back. I don't even know the era, but I drilled holes in it, and afterwards I wondered if I had ruined a good antique. But you know what? It's serving my purpose here, and I couldn't have planted these things without drainage. So I'm just gonna, you know, just decide to use it for what I need it for. But again, these were doing absolutely nothing until I planted them in here. And pardon my nail polish, but they are really growing, especially now that it's cooler. They were completely orange, you couldn't even see the green, and now they're taking off. So, you know, obviously they do have new soil in their new arrangement, but again, I think they like being with other plants. And I think this is a Pilocereus. This is, of course, a moon cactus. It's grafted on top of a dragon fruit stem. Another mammillaria. I love that one. It's got a really kind of a fine pattern to it. But those are doing well. And let me show you the difference. These are starting to turn green and grow. And this one, this was one of my painted cacti. Although it's green on top, never, ever grows. And I've transplanted it a few times. But that's a mammillaria Vetula subspecies gracilis Arizona snow. But it is dyed purple, and I've had that a couple of years, and it seems to almost get smaller each year. But I do see green, so I do continue to water it and take care of it. It's just interesting, you know, how these are growing now that I have them with others. They were dyed orange, and then this one is just staying small and even possibly shrinking. So it's interesting to see what happens. You know, of course, I wish they didn't dye and paint things. It just is not good for the plant. But anyhow, let me take you over here. These are my dragon fruit seedlings, and something has come along. This is what happens, you know, when you put your plants outdoors. Something's come along and taken big bites out of that. It almost looks like a leaf cutter bee could have come along, because that's sort of what it looks like. And they use plants to close up their tunnels where they've laid their eggs, but who knows what it was. Could have been a caterpillar, but I'll probably remove that end leaf that's gotten damaged. But otherwise it's doing really well. Something found it delicious, but it's doing really well, and those seedlings are starting to look less like seedlings and more like a big plant. And I'm just going to jump ahead and show you what those mature ones look like. This was from an actual dragon fruit that I took the seed out of, and I germinated all of those. Let me show you down here. This is what it looks like when it's more mature. This was the bottom of a moon cactus, and I think that I had shown you guys that I cut the moon cactus off when it had died, and I planted this. And this bottom part, the dragon fruit, has given me all kinds of babies, which I then plant, and now my babies are making babies. So that is the grown-up version. Actually, I might put those two together. I might put them down here together because they're the same type of plant. And although this one looks horrible, it still continues every time I cut this off to send out another baby. So there's no reason for me to get rid of it at this point. It's not the most beautiful plant, but it is making some lovely pups. And this one had roots on the side, so I planted it sideways to see what would happen, and I think that probably I'm going to have some growth upwards. And let's see here, I have a Burrows Tail, which doesn't love it here, not doing so great for me. I don't know, it just kind of seems to stay the same size, although, you know, it does make pups when the leaves drop. So I have a whole tray of pups that the leaves have dropped on, but they're absolutely puny. This actually looks a little dehydrated, so I'll come out here with some water, but I don't know, I just don't have the hang of Burrows Tail, I guess. The one that's in the dish garden is doing way better. So perhaps I'll have to combine this one with something. But let me keep going, speed up this tour a little bit. This is my mammillaria section here. I have a lot of different mammillarias. Well, this is a Mammilopsis. This is a fuzzy one, although it has hooked spines, so you really don't want to try to pet this one. Sometimes I like to feel a soft cactus. It's just kind of fun, but do not do it with a Mammilopsis. And this one it has a question mark, but I think it's a Mammillaria Backenbergiana, this one. This one is the Redheaded Irishman, and he does not look so good. But as you can see from his name, he does have red spines on his all over, but especially on the newest growth. So that's why he's called the Redheaded Irishman. But I'm hoping, you know, this one will perk up as it matures. But there's a lot of spines missing here because that's where I had taken off one of those horrible straw flowers that they glue on. So as you can see, it permanently damages them when you have to remove those darn flowers. But it has grown. This used to be the top. You can see how much it's grown since I had to do that, and since I initially got it. So I guess this is successful, even though it's looking a little bit bald. I would call this one a success. And then over here I have two old lady cacti. I believe these are the same, although this one looks a little different. But these are Mammillaria, I think it's a Hahaniana. Yeah, Hahaniana. But they're beautiful, and I take a lot of pictures of this one. I just think it's so beautiful. And that's another fuzzy looking one. This one as well. This is the one I showed you, the Mammillaria Magnifica. So that was the one that was on its side, the biggest one. Here's another one, a bristlebrush cactus. Now I had to repot this, and I lost a couple of the smaller versions of it. It looked like it had mealybug in the root, so I completely got rid of the two that looked affected, and I pretty much cleaned and trimmed a lot of the roots off of these two, and things seem to be fine now. This one is growing kind of a new pup at the top. I thought it would just keep growing, but that's an interesting happening there. This is an update on my Mammillaria rhodantha, and it's important to rotate your plants so that they get an even amount of sun. That one's leaning a bit, but this one sent down roots. This was the one that I had completely cut the roots off of, and it sent down roots into this pot of cactus and and succulent mix, and I'm watering it normally. I've been watering it normally almost all summer, but now it has an established set of roots, and I had managed to save it, and it's one of my favorites. It's got gorgeous, gorgeous orange spines on it, and I think it's so beautiful. But that is a success story. I'm very proud of that one. And this is a Noto Cactus Lindenhausii. And this one, I had, actually it should be over here with my Noto Cacti. Let me put it over here. But this one I had brushed because I was a little bit puzzled. It started to have this fuzz on the top, and I actually did a video on it, and I was worried that it was some kind of pest. But then I realized that is a sign of growth. It just kind of sheds this fuzz on the top growing tip, and there's probably no need to remove it at all, but I was curious as to whether it was a pest, and I just wanted to let you know that one's doing just fine. And I concluded, and some of my viewers mentioned this too, that it happens to theirs, that this puts off a fuzz when it's growing. It's kind of like, I guess it grows fast and then kind of sheds its outer spines or skin or something, but it's perfectly normal, and that one is doing really, really well. Looking taller, in fact. And then here are my fantastic little Mammillaria. I think these are Mammillaria hahaniana seedlings. And again, they are doing fantastic, planted all together, kind of in a field of Mammillarias within each little pot, but they are getting big. And I think I'm not going to separate these out. Probably in the spring I'll just put the whole block of cacti into a bigger pot and do the same thing I did when I transplanted the seedlings into here, because they seem to be growing really well with each other. I think the growth hormone on the roots you know, helps all of the other plants out, and they're thriving. So I'm very happy about that one. And I don't want to forget the Mammillaria over here. This is a silver Burrows Cactus, and I don't know if this happens to you, but all of my, this shows how hot it is, all of my plastic little name holders have cracked. They've gotten very brittle in the heat. So it shows you how tough cactus are. If the heat in here cracks plastic, but they can survive, it just shows you what kind of survivors they are. But this one's doing well, and actually this one had made a bud. I'm going to take you over here and show you. I had harvested the seeds, and I made a whole bunch of babies over here. So these are silver arrow cactus babies, and those are all from my plant that is doing so well. It didn't make any buds this year. I think I didn't let my cacti get cold enough in order to set buds, but those are the babies. And then back here, these have taken off now that it's cooler. These are Mammillaria. I think they're also Mammillaria hahaniana babies. So they're doing well, and there's a few in each cup, not as many, but ever since it cooled off, they've really exploded with growth, and that's very exciting. So that is really fun. So I have quite a few Mammillaria now, guys. And let me bring you back over to the table. I had digressed for a moment. Let me show you what's going on under here. So I had two very tall San Pedro cacti cuttings that I had planted. And they actually needed repotting, so I took them out of the soil, and it looked like they had mealybug. So I actually discarded the roots and cut them up into these segments, and I let them dry for about 3 weeks, maybe even a month. It might have been a month. And now I've popped them into some dry soil, and I think in a couple weeks I'll give them a little bit of water, but they're not going to have too much of a chance to get water before it gets cold and I have to bring them in to put them into dormancy. But I'll probably give them about a month's worth of watering before that happens, and hopefully they'll set out roots. But that is what I did. I cut them into sections, and I also put the top sections, which look really nice, into this pot. And then those are from the mother plant that I showed you. I had done some cuttings. It's a little bit messy under here. Sorry about that. But I had done some cuttings on my San Pedro cactus back there. They had gotten so long they were falling over. So I did some cuttings from her. And those are the 3 back there in the black pot. Those are from her. And then these and these segments, which should, if they root, put up some babies, you know, put up other stems. And that's cinnamon on top, by the way. But anyway, those should put up more arms, and then these should root in and look like nice plants. So wish me luck on that one. But so I've been very busy taking care of my San Pedros, and I did away with the roots. Unfortunately, I seem to have a problem with mealybugs, so I'm always checking things. And I'm not replacing things that seem really prone to it. I just figure I'll grow things that do better for me. So here is my Noto Cactus magnificus, and that's a really nice one. I love that. That actually made a pod for me, but I think it fell off. That came with a flower when I bought it. It was pretty. This, I believe, is another, this has hooked spines on it. This is either a Noto Cactus or perhaps a Gymnocalacium. I'm not sure. Once again, I'm not sure. I did lose my Devil's Tongue cactus. Unfortunately, that one had an attack of mealybugs. This one back here is another favorite. I just think it's so gorgeous. Let me zoom in a little bit here. This is a Noto Cactus scopa called a silver ball cactus. And the pattern on it is gorgeous, and it has bright red spines. So that is a beauty. And then I have Noto Cactus Schlosseri, and that one's kind of a tough looking cactus. I picture it in a really harsh desert situation, but that one, it has brown spines. Doing well. This one I transplanted into this little pot. It seems to be doing okay. That's another Noto Cactus of some kind. This one, I believe, is also a Noto Cactus. And they've all been separated or from their tags, or their tags have gotten brittle and fallen apart. And here is another little dish garden where everything seems happy. Again, the dish garden theory. They're all thriving. I got this little guy at Walmart, and this is I think it's a mammillaria that's on top of a dragon fruit, but that's a pretty grafted cactus. I don't have too many of those. I have my one moon cactus, and then this one. This is doing terribly. This one is terrible, and it's related to this one back here, which I think looks horrible. So it does not like my conditions. Not happy with that one. That one is Opuntia cylindrica, and it just hates it here. I don't know if it's the same thing as a cholla cactus, but I don't know. It's just a mess. And this was a cutting from it. It's also a mess. But this is a Monstrose variety. Gosh, I've forgotten. Looks really dry. I'm going to come through here with some water later. But I think it's called a Ming Thing cactus, but I'm forgetting the Latin name. So hopefully you know what that is. And this is a Noto Cactus, which I cannot get over. It has made, it looks like 2 seed pods are about to burst with seed. So I'll probably give that a go as far as planting those up and starting seedlings. But it also has another seed pod here that's not ripe. And it's also putting out a flower. So this is my star cactus this year, because it is just, a lot is happening. It is doing a lot. It's an overachiever, I would say. And then this is my Gymnocalacium. So I'll keep you updated on that. You know, if I see the fruit explode, or if I decide to take it and take the seeds from it, I'll let you know about that one. And then there's a Gymnocalacium saglione. And that one never really seems to do much, but it's doing fine. Maybe it's going to like cooler weather better, but that's kind of a pretty one. It's got some dangerous spines. And this one is a chin cactus, Gymnocalacium baldianum. And that's a nice one. It has a little scarring where the flowers came off, so I'm not sure if that's normal, but that's what happened there. And then I have a couple of barrel cactus back here. This is a big golden barrel. This came as a really big size, and I think it's probably outgrowing that pot. So I'll probably wait till spring and then put it in the next size up. This really isn't the time to repot them. And I'm short on room inside, so I'll just let it be like that for the winter dormancy. And this one, I don't know if this is a smaller golden barrel or another type of cactus, but I think it's a smaller golden barrel. This one might be a blue barrel cactus. I'm going to turn them all. I notice they're all leaning towards the sun. And this one I have to do a little detective work because I'm seeing something on the top there that looks a little suspicious. So I'll take that out of the mix, and I'll take it out of the polytunnel away from the other cacti and have a look at that. Maybe even examine the roots, see what's going on. But this is my Astrophytum. I only have two. I have this one, and it has the prettiest striations on it. It's just a beautiful plant. It looks like a sculpture to me. I'm crazy about this one. This is an Astrophytum G something. It's actually a number. I guess it's a hybrid of something. But I love it. It's beautiful. And then I have this baby. This was from a seed. And that is really tiny, but I think that's an Astrophytum nudum because that does not have any spines, and I'm really happy that that's doing well for me. It's tiny. I don't know if you can see the size of my finger. It's still a very small plant, although I think it's about 2 years old already. So this one is a Noto Cactus ubelmanianus, so that's a very long name. That one has some yellowing around the side, so I'm not sure what's going on. Possibly I'll have to check the roots on that one too, but maybe it needs a little bit of fertilizer. We'll have to see. And then these are my lithops, and these are the only ones I have left, and they're having babies, and you're not supposed to water these while the babies are coming out because they use the moisture in the leaves. So we'll see how that goes. These are supposed to shrivel up, and the moisture is supposed to sustain the baby plants. So we'll see how that goes and looks in a couple months. But this is an adorable little barrel cactus with really long red spines. Not sure what name it is. It actually came from a drugstore. This one is my Echinophosulo cactus. And I have had it for about 1.5 years. It has never ever grown. It's still green, but this is not a plant that is thriving for me. So it doesn't like my conditions here. I don't know why. It just never gets bigger unless it's an extremely slow grower. But who knows? I don't know why. Same thing with my mini cinnamon cactus, Opuntia rufida minima monstros. This guy never gets any bigger. I would say he's the same size as when I got him. And the bunny ear cacti also not doing that well. The Opuntia Microdiomus doesn't seem to like my care or my conditions, but none of them ever seem to get any bigger or thrive. So if you guys have any tips about Microdiomus, let me know. These could possibly be some new growth, but I don't know. They just never seem to thrive for me. Whereas on the other hand, look at these gigantic padded ones. These are big pads. You know, this was from Whole Foods grocery store. These three, I did lose one. I think I did a video on it. But these three were from my variety pack from eBay. I got 4 pads. 3 of them survived, and now these 2 have put on ears. I mean, look at that. I mean, more pads. This one looks like ears. But this one, let's see what this is. Opuntia basilaris. And that's a beauty. It's kind of glossy. It's got big spines, and it's doubled in size. So that is looking good. And this one, I'm going to see if it has, I'm going to turn it. Try not to kill myself here with the spines. Okay, this one is an Opuntia capahoa. And that's a beautiful blue color. It's put on 2 pads for me. This one is an unknown, but that, like I said, that was from the grocery store. And this one is the Opuntia violacea, and I had another one of these that ended up rotting out. It had gotten too much water, I think. But I remember with this one, it took a long time for it to grow pads, but once it started, it really took off. And then I have a Opuntia brasiliensis, and the Crazy Cactus Collector, thank you very much. ID'd this one for me. It's kind of a wavy cactus, and it does well. It is one of the most dangerous ones that I have. These spines are really painful if you happen to brush up against it. And then I have a smaller one down here, Opuntia quintensis, Johnson's hybrid. And that's a really pretty one, and that's put on at least 3 pads, so I'm happy about that. It likes it here. This one likes it here. The big padded ones like it here. This one had a case of the mealybugs. I think it's okay now, but I did have to cut off some of the growing tips, and it responded by putting out more pads, which makes me happy. That's good. But look at that. Look at the fuzz on there. Is that fantastic? I just love it. And that is soft, so that's safe to brush up against. But that is, look at the fuzz with the light coming through it. It is just such a fun plant to have. And then here are my desert roses back here. This was some type of variety pack, and they're seedlings, so they haven't actually given me flowers yet. But they're beautiful, and I took 3 of them and cut them and to see if they'd branch, and they did. That one branched. This one branched. I thought I did 3 of them, but it looks like I did 2. But actually, I'm kind of sorry I cut them so soon, because the ones that I didn't cut are very huge, and I think if I cut them next spring, they will just do a better job branching for me. So that was a little experiment. But they're supposed to be all different kinds of colors of desert rose. So those are nice. And then this one, I think this is a Pachapodium. And he's doing okay. Kind of a slow grower for me. Every now and then I pull off one of the leaves. It sheds its leaves, but it's doing okay. And it does have a couple little small pups. Not growing at a very fast rate, but doing just fine here. And this is my Sunset Hummel Jade, which ever since I got it has not been the sunset color. When I got it, it was sort of a very gold colored jade. And now, so I don't know what happened. Perhaps I'm pampering it too much, but now it is completely green, and I have yet, maybe it has to get cold, I don't know, I have yet to have it get that gold color again. So we'll see what happens if it gets a little bit cold this fall. Maybe it'll change color. And then let me show you up here my Rattail Cacti, and I'd gotten some cuttings of a few years ago, very small cuttings. I mean, almost like, you know, this big down here. And I planted them up, and look what happened. It is just a magnificent plant, really big, but that is doing really well for me, and it's a no-fuss plant, completely no-fuss plant. It seems to like a lot of sun. And then these guys are my prickly pear Beavertail cacti. Those are Opuntias, and they are absolutely massive. So guys, I'm thinking about keeping these out in the polytunnel for the winter. I know that some Opuntia are cold hardy, and if you guys know anything about the cold hardiness of Beavertail cacti, I certainly don't want to kill them. So if I don't think they're going to be hardy enough, I'll do a little more research. I'll have to drag them in, but they're so large, and you know, if they're cold hardy, I may as well keep them out here. Maybe I'll bubble wrap them. But let me know your opinion on this. Should I keep them out in the polytunnel? Let me know your experience with them. I live in think I live in a zone 6A. So it does get really cold here. We do get snow, although they'd be protected from any snowfall in the polytunnel. But I'm really considering leaving them out here and seeing if they overwinter. But give me your thoughts on that. This one's still growing. It has a little, that's how a new pad looks. So that's exciting. But they are very, very thirsty, just as a side note. They actually require a lot of water, or they start to droop on me. So they let me know when they need water. And then this was my mother plant of the Pedro Cactus. She's doing fine. She looks like she survived the birth of all her babies being cut off. But I had put one of the, this might be one from my other cuttings that I was telling you I cut up, but it did go black on the top, and I was thinking about cutting that off, but the rest of the plant looks really fine. Perhaps it's rooting, and I had a really small piece which I stuck in, and I'm gonna just see if it seems to be fine. It's been about 2 weeks, so it seems to be perhaps about to root. So we'll see how that goes. That's looking terrible right now, but I expect she's gonna put out more arms. And I expect the little baby will too. So we'll see. A lot going on with the Pedro Cactus here. And then back here are my jades. And they actually looked quite terrible all summer. I don't think they like the heat too much. I probably should have brought them in. But now that it's cooler, they are putting on new growth. And this is just this is a beneficial spider, so I'm not worried about that. But now it's putting on some green growth, and this one is as well. So I expect that that'll do pretty well out here for the next month or two and do a little bit of growing. As you can see, all my pruning has made the trunks thicker, which was my goal. But hopefully by the time I bring that in, that's going to be looking a lot better. And I think fall and winter are more of a growing season for these guys. They just don't like to grow when it's hot. They probably don't want to send out the new growth into the hot weather and have it get all dehydrated. So I can understand that. But I'll look forward to seeing how well that does this fall. Hoping it makes a rebound. And then over here I have a wonderful pot of Haworthias. This one does not have variegation. I had combined these two, and this one does have the variegation, and it's having loads of babies. Again, Haworthia tend to grow more in the fall and winter. This one's sending out new babies. These are all Haworthias. My sister gave this to me. And then these are Gasterias. Oh, I said the wrong thing. These are Gasterias. This is a Gasteria. These are Haworthias. And Gasteria and Haworthias tend to grow more in the cooler weather. So these are starting to look taller, the dwarf ox-tongue Gasteria, and this one's putting out more growth, and then these are starting to flush out and give some more babies. And then I have couple of aloes here. This one is a spice cactus, and it kind of has a funny growth habit. As you can see, it's bushy down here, and then it sent up this one long branch, but that's a pretty one. Kind of an interesting growth habit. And over here I have some more jades. This one's kind of looking bonsai-ish as I trim it, but they're doing well. This is I believe this is a hobbit jade. As you can see, it's got kind of a, I know they're different types, but this one is ogre's ears, and this one I think is just the jade hobbit. This one is some type of aloe, I believe. It might even be an aloe Haworthia mix. I've heard that that can happen because it kind of has characteristics of both. But this was from the drugstore unlabeled, so your guess is as good as mine. And then I have a couple more Haworthias down here. This is one that the chipmunks ate, and I only had two small little. Okay, I think it's time to finish up this tour, so I'll just scan over here. I have a couple of jades that are on the go here. They're all rooting in, and again, they're doing much better now that it's cooled off. I have a little dish garden of cuttings here. This is a Haworthia, some type of Echeveria, and some, I think these are Seedoveria cuttings from the leaf. They did really well. This is a big I believe tiger aloe, and it's doing okay. It's starting to pick up growth now that it's cooler. And I've already showed you all of my little mammillaria seedlings. They're doing well, but not as well as the ones which I really have packed in together over here. Yeah, this is the way to do the seedlings for sure. And then let me just show you over here. I have kind of a straggly looking gigantic aloe. Not sure where I'm going to put him this winter, but the bottom leaves are dying back, I think, because it's growing new ones. And then I just have a few succulents over here. Honestly I do more cacti. They do much better for me in my lower light conditions in the house. Succulents just hate my low light conditions. But this is just a little dish I had some cuttings in. And as you can see, the Burrows Cactus, the Burrows Tail are doing really well. Those are just little leaves that are set on top of soil. And then I have an Echeveria back here that's all stretched out. And this is the little dish garden here. But I think I need to do some watering. This one's doing really well. Again, I think it's a Seedavaria, but I don't know. I've lost all the name tags. But it's doing well. And I have an aloe down here, which likes to be out in the summer, but it does terribly in my house when we have lower light. And the last thing I want to show you, I'm going to kind of wrap this up. I'm realizing it's such a long video. But this is my stretched out succulent video where I cut the top off and I rooted the tops of it. But these are the babies that came out of the base. So this is a successful update. This is a thumbs up update of the stretched out succulent video. So you can look back at that and just see that there was nothing there. I just left some stems, and this is what has finally come out. They were small for the longest time, but now they're getting some size to them. But guys, that's about it. This has been a super long video, but I wanted to update you on how well things are doing. And I would say overall, things are doing great out here. There's a couple that, you know, as for everybody, there's a couple that don't thrive as well as others, but for the most part, it has been a good summer for the polytunnel and all the cacti and succulents in it. And I certainly do enjoy my collection. Let me know how your collections are doing and maybe what some of your fall plans are for overwintering. And I'm just going to finish this video off by showing you the new white growth on that Stenoserius pruneus. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.